Good morning, my name's Kerry Duval, the Warrior Queen. My name doesn't say Warrior Queen, I have to change that, oh well. But I've got an amazing guest lined up and we've got another amazing show. See you in a minute. Good morning. Well, how are you?
You all right?
I'm all right, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Congratulations again.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for
As I
going
was
well.
saying, as I was saying backstage, when we found out the week before Christmas, it was a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
Adam obviously jumped and wanted to tell the world straight away, and we were still processing it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
everything's fine.
Good.
Yeah, the last scan was fine. Baby was moving absolutely fine. It actually did a bit of a somersault in there. And then the baby's heartbeat nice and strong. Baby's measuring a little bit longer than it should be, she said. So we're thinking we're going to end up with a third tall child.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So, but yeah, everything's fine. And then the day after the scan, like I was saying, she rang me up and said, "When you're not as far as long as what we thought. You're actually 14 weeks. I might have just lost a week." So it's like, so then I told Adam, I'm like, "Adam, we've just lost a week. Is that what you're on about?" I'm like, "Well, they thought it was 13 weeks. I'm not. I'm 14 weeks." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Don't ask."
Yeah.
Baby's
So
long.
What's your due date?
24th of August.
Right. That were my due date actually with boys.
Yeah,
but obviously they were
that's
born
mine.
21st of June. Yeah.
No, well, when she first told me, it was going to be, well, it was supposed to be like the 28th. So when she first told me that, it was a little bit, I don't know how to say it. It was a little bit bittersweet because on the 31st, that's my nana's anniversary, and this year is going to be 5 years. And obviously I had to process that. It took me a couple of days to process that. Yeah. That obviously I might end up giving birth on my nana's anniversary, which I don't think I'd want. No. To be honest, I really don't want. But then obviously she moved me back and there's less likely now. So I'm sort of hoping baby's not going to come late like its brother and sister did.
Yeah.
We find out in a couple of weeks whether it's a boy or a girl. We've got the names.
Right.
So we're just waiting on the 18th. And it's actually, I actually booked it as a late birthday present for Adam.
Oh, right.
And I realised it's going to be an early Mother's Day present for me.
Yeah, it will be.
Mother's Day weekend, I get to find out the gender of my third child.
Oh, brilliant.
Third and last child. And it will be my last because Adam's going to go be neutered. Told him you're being neutered, mate. But we've got to put it nicely. Anyway, back to the discussion.
Right,
so obviously we jumped on to talk about being an SEN parent, how it affects your mental health and the stigma around it. So how's things been for you and Joshua since your diagnosis?
I mean, things have been okay. I mean, I don't know if you've heard, but Action for ASD are closing down.
Yeah.
They were a good source of support, really. At the minute, just trying to find other avenues of support, because obviously we want to do the courses and things like that. I mean, in terms of Joshua, I mean, we have good days and bad days still. With him, some days are really bad with his behaviour. We have, days where he doesn't want to go to school, and we're late for school some days, not every time, but, the odd time we're late and things. But obviously school, I mean, Joshua's school, I've never faulted them since they were there. They've really supported him. They've supported us. They've been really good with him, with us. Anything we ask, they're quite happy to help or advice or anything like that. we're going through the EHC process at the minute. Hopefully that'll be submitted soon. School have managed to gather quite a bit of, evidence of things. I know obviously it's not a guarantee, but they have said that he'll definitely need it for secondary school, and he's in year 4 now. So when it comes to the end of this year, him going into year 5, we actually need to start looking at secondary. Because even though it's only in year 5, he's only got that bit left. We need to decide whether it's going to be mainstream or SEN. So that's a big thing to think about. Because obviously, it'd be great for him to go to mainstream, but they have to be able to put them provisions in place. Which we don't know whether they can until we actually go and speak to them. So it's things are okay. It's just we just take it day by day, really. I'm sort of learning every day really about autism and the little things, because it seems to be, well, like Dr. Harry Atman said, as he gets older you'll sort of see more things, and things become more apparent as time goes on. It's like learning every day really. So
yeah, definitely. I can connect with that so much because we went through the exact same thing with Lucas. When we had to bring him out of mainstream school, we had to homeschool him for 12 months while we sorted out his autism school now. So, and obviously throughout that process, he had so many assessments done, and one of which enabled him to skip a year. So instead of going into year 6, he's actually jumped to year 7 and started high school. In September, just gone. So that obviously created a lot of anxiety for you. Is that what's happening with me? Sorry, is that what's happening with you? You're finding a lot of anxiety?
Yeah, it is a worry, because obviously, aside from the autism, obviously as his health is, the medical side of things, but also the educational psychologist has seen him, and they've sort of done their assessments and said that his IQ is extremely low, even though he's very intelligent in the fact of his memory, and he can tell you all these facts and figures about certain topics, obviously, and he's quite like academically doing well, obviously. There's that issue because he has a very poor working memory. So they're doing a lot of work with him at school on his memory skills, because he's, they're saying like, oh, read this sentence and then read it back to or whatever, and he's forgot, completely, sort of thing. So it's just like a case of when he goes to secondary school, is he going to is he going to know where he's going to different classrooms, following timetables, things like that. I mean, for me personally, I'd like him to have somebody with him all the time, really, if he was at mainstream, because I think he'd get so overwhelmed and disorientated to where he is and things like that. He does struggle with things like that. Plus his vision,
and that's going to create a load more anxiety for you as a parent. What's he going to be like at high school? Is he going to be okay? Is he going to get lost? Is he going to get bullied? All these worries start jumping up, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It is a lot of anxiety around secondary schools. I mean, when we went to look around primary schools, we had we went round and we looked at a lot of a few primary schools, and we talked to the the Senkos, the teachers, whatever. We really sort of scrutinised it, really thought about it before we chose. But this just feels like an even more a bigger deal.
It is.
We being secondary school. He says he doesn't like school, but when he's there he's okay, but I think he just masks a lot, to be honest. But when he's at school, there's no issues, he just gets on with what he's doing, and it's fine. But personally, there's a lot of anxiety there around secondary schools and what's going to be best.
Definitely. We found that when we were looking at schools for Lucas, we did a lot of the same. We scrutinised everything, asked them lots of questions, and they said that we've never had parents ask us this many questions. And we're like, well, it's because we've already had 2 schools that have basically messed up with him, and we don't want to make that same mistake. We don't want 3 primary schools that have failed him. We don't want that.
No, it's a big thing. Yeah.
Ultimately, it came down to we had to homeschool. That was our only option. I mean, luckily we had his EHCP, so he could get into one-on-one tutoring. But again, we had to fight the local authority on that. You know, and that creates a whole load of stresses. So it's stress and anxiety. They're like the main 2 things. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, all these different processes that you've got to go through. Does Joshua have an EHCP at the moment?
He doesn't know. We're going through the process at the minute. It's been going since, I think, last October time, something like that. We've been getting all the information together, and we're going to be having another meeting. We had a meeting, I can't remember when it was now. We had a meeting, and then we're going to be having another meeting with Lee Allen present as well, because he's done his report as regards to the autism side of things. And then after that, then it'll be submitted. So I did speak to his teacher about it a few weeks ago, and I said to her, will we actually know before he goes into year 5? And she said, oh yeah, definitely, we'll definitely know before July, because, you know, I don't want him going into year 5 obviously and not having it and still going through this process, because we need to start looking at high schools. And you know, obviously we can't do that when we can, but it's easier if we have that in place, and then we can say, look, he actually has an EHCP, and you know, this is basically him.
Yeah, and having an EHCP opens up the option of going to an independent school or an SEN school.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I believe they can't go to SEN school without an EHCP. Is that right?
Oh, they can. Yes, they can.
Right.
There is a loophole. There is a loophole that is active. It's open. Some parents do obviously have to use it if their child doesn't have an EHCP. But yeah, there is a way that they can go to an independent SEN school without an EHCP. But then they basically step it up and get the child one.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Once they're in the school, they've come to us because they can't go to a mainstream school for this reason, this reason, this reason. They basically lay it out that's tailored to your child, and then that's how they would do it.
Right.
They would get that EHCP process done for you within probably the first 12 months of them being with them.
Yeah. I suppose
obviously that's not something I've personally been through, but I have heard of it. I've heard of other parents having to go through that option.
Yeah. I suppose they can escalate it, can't they? A lot better than, you know, because they're obviously trained and things like that. And
we found with Tegan, because of him asking and school submitting the report saying that there's nothing wrong with Tegan. She doesn't need support. Tegan's a perfect child. It's like, no, mate, she's not.
So is this why you're homeschooling her at the minute?
Yeah, we basically removed her from school at the back end of October, after receiving the decision that she wasn't going to get the EHCP.
Right.
I mean, the school pulled a family support worker involved to go through the EHCP process, and it was like, why? Why have you done that? We don't need a family support worker.
No.
He literally came and seen us twice. Never met Tegan in that process. He spoke to us, spoke to school a couple of times, and then closed everything off just before we were going to submit the EHCP. He basically turned around and said, there's nothing for me to be involved with. Everything's fine. No concerns whatsoever. The only thing he came involved with was for the EHCP, and it was, so basically, you're useless. You wasted your time coming involved. He basically said, yeah, okay, bye.
Yeah.
sort of thing. You know, I mean, I haven't got time for family support workers or social workers.
No.
You know, I've got valid reasons for that I'm not going to go into, but either way, But the decision got turned down, and we said, right, okay, so we're going to go to mediation. So we got an SEN solicitor involved, basically to understand the legal side of things better. And she threw a lot of things at them, and they still didn't overturn the decision. So we basically said, tribunal it is. Straight away then they said, we're not going to overturn. I said, right, tribunal it is. Straight away, tribunal, no hesitation. We're going to tribunal.
Yeah.
So that's booked for May. But then during that time, we've had an independent speech therapist come in and do a report.
Right.
We've had an independent education psychologist do his report. We're waiting for that final report now. And then we've had something else. Oh, an SEN occupational therapist. Right. Never encountered one before, but she was absolutely amazing with Tegan and done an absolutely amazing report for us.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So hopefully we're now on the right tracks to getting that EHCP process for her completed, because then we can get her into an independent school. We've got one. The nearest one to us for girls is actually Bamber Bridge.
Really?
Really.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know why, but when we were doing looking around at schools for Tegan, very little schools in England actually offer spaces for girls with autism, which is really frustrating, and it increases the stress and anxiety around things.
Yeah, it's they predominantly focus on boys, don't they, when it's to do with autism? But obviously it affects girls as well. It's not just boys. But yeah.
I mean, there was recently on BBC, it's actually still active now, there's a series about looking inside an autistic mind.
Yeah, watched it. Yeah, I've watched the first episode. Yeah, I've watched the first episode, but I've not watched the second yet. No, I have got it recorded. But yeah, I mean, absolutely fantastic. I mean, to be honest, there's not enough shows like that on telly, you know, to sort of promote awareness and things like that. I think it was really, really good, well put together. Yeah. So I'm going to watch the second part when I get a chance. It's really good.
I mean, I want to watch the second part, but I cried so much at part one. It was, oh my God. I mean, I looked at her and I looked at this autistic woman, and I'm like, oh my God, she's so brave for doing what she did. Yeah. And and explaining everything to her mum. I cried.
Yeah, it was. I absolutely really emotional.
It was. I mean,
your hormones will be on overdrive at the minute, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. My hormones were on overdrive, and the emotions come out. I was blubbering like.
I remember when I was pregnant, I was watching One Born Every Minute, and I used to love it at the time. And I remember I was just crying all the time. Oh my God, another baby's been born. But my hormones were everywhere because I was pregnant. So just cry at anything. I actually, I know I'm going off subject here, but I went into Greggs when I was pregnant, and I like steak bakes. Everyone knows me. Who knows I like steak bakes? Went in Greggs, and somebody in front of me pinched the last one, and I just stood there crying my eyes out.
Well, no, because thing is, one of the other topics I'm going to be covering is pregnancy and mental health, and how it affects you. So talking about that is absolutely fine. I'm going to cover it anyway. I mean, it's personal to me at the moment because I'm going through this pregnancy again, and I'm not feeling it this much as much as I did with Lucas and Tegan. I'm not feeling this pregnancy as much, So my mental health it's up and down, but it's stable at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm keeping it stable, and I'm sort of maintaining a lot more me time. So obviously I've agreed with Adam to come back and do this on the Warriors, but I'm very much going to do it where it's on my terms. So it's probably not going to be every week. There's going to be times when I go missing.
Yeah,
and that's me taking time for me, because obviously I've got to focus on me because I'm growing a human.
Yeah, you've got to do that. You've got to do that.
Yeah, growing a human being takes a lot.
Yeah, it does. It takes a lot out of you as well. Yeah,
it does.
But yeah, the program was brilliant, and I hope they do more shows like that that people can watch. And
I hope so. I mean, I don't know how many episodes is actually booked with this series, but I am actually looking forward to watching number 2, and if there is a number 3 afterwards, I'd love for it to go and be a long series, but I don't know how far we're going to be able to push it unless they bring more individual autistic individuals in. Get the words out, Gary.
yeah, definitely.
Whether they're going to bring more autistic individuals in, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what they decide to do. But I do hope they actually cover it a lot more.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there does have to be a lot more awareness and acceptance around autism in there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there does. Yeah. I mean, so obviously, coming back to obviously, staying on subjects with SEN. So how are you finding life with other people in the community when you're out and about with Joshua? Is there a lot of stigma around it?
Not really. No, I don't. I mean, I don't notice it if there is. You know, I know that sometimes people can sort of look and, you know, this sort of thing, and if they're playing up or whatever. I think it's more people who just tend to just like say if I were in town with Joshua and he started having a bit of, you know, kicking off, obviously, then people like just looking and rather than, you know, just carrying on with the business and whatever. But apart from that, no, not really.
Yeah. I've highlighted you fellas comment because yes, autism awareness, autism acceptance weeks are coming up. April is actually autism month. I mean, that's absolutely fine to have autism weeks, autism months, but autism awareness, autism acceptance should be a whole year thing. It shouldn't just be this week, this month. It should be all the time.
Yeah.
That's just my personal thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of autistic parents sort of think the same. It shouldn't just be that week or that month. It should be all the time because autism doesn't just go away after that week or that month. It is a lifetime thing that people have to live with day in, day out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Yeah,
definitely. And like you're going with Joshua at the moment, I mean, that's what's happening with Lucas. Is he likes school. He enjoys going to school. He's absolutely thriving at school. But it's getting him up in the mornings, getting him to get dressed, brush his teeth, have his breakfast. Even though he has breakfast at school, we still try and let him have something to eat at home because otherwise, if he goes through that door grouchy, he's in a bad mood when he's hungry.
Yeah. I mean, in the morning with Joshua, the main thing I can get him to eat is a banana.
Yeah.
You know, with cereal and things like that. He's not interested. He just likes a banana in the morning. I just think, well, it's not really a lot, but it's something at least. Yeah. Because they go, you know, start school at 9:15 and then they have the dinner at 12, like 12, half 12. They do have snack in between, obviously, but it's quite a long time to go, isn't it, until dinner time. But, you know, he's one of them. He eats when he's hungry. He doesn't like to be told, right, it's tea time, no, right, it's dinner time now. He basically tells you when he wants to eat, sort of thing. Yeah. But yeah, we have the same thing in the morning. I mean, we've tried visuals and things like that. We've spoke to school, and you know, it just really just doesn't work. It's a case of, you know, he gets up in the morning, he comes downstairs, and then he likes to either play on the PlayStation or watch the TV. Before he goes to school, and we always do, right, Joshua, you know, 10 minutes, you know, we're going to get dressed soon, we're going to get going. Sometimes he'll get dressed before, like he did this morning. He come down, got dressed straight away. Can I go on PlayStation? Yeah, of course. You know, and then obviously we said to him, right, we're going to be going to school soon, this is what's happening, you know, preparing him all the time. And then sometimes, like this morning, absolutely fine, right, okay, mummy, finish my game, come on, let's go. And because he's into football at the minute, you know, how he has these fixations on certain things. Football is the massive thing at the minute with him. So I keep saying to him, come on the way to school, we're going to pick our dream team. You pick your dream team and I'll pick my dream team. And we'll see who's better, you know. So we're trying to motivate.
Yeah, little games just to try and move him along to school,
Yeah, and that's what I do, you know, try and distract him and talk about other things and stuff like that, really. And then, you know, like I said, sometimes it works, and then some mornings we just have like horrendous, I'm not going to school, I hate school. And, you know, we have this like sort of you're a bad mum, you're a bad dad sort of thing with him. We've had that this weekend, actually. His behaviour this weekend's been horrendous. His bedtimes, he's been kicking off, hitting us, you know, calling us bad mum and dad, saying we're horrible, which is really hard. You know, it's really, really hard because it's like I was saying to Joshua, you know, we just want the best for you. We want you to go to bed because you've got school in the morning. You know, we want you to go to sleep, then you're not tired. But he doesn't see it like that. It's all his way. You know, we're bad parents, basically.
Yeah. How does that make you feel when he's saying those things, do you?
Really, it upsets me, to be honest. Sometimes I cry. Because it's like, we know, I know that I'm doing the best I can do as a mum. I know that I'm not a bad parent. And it's just so hard, because then after, when it's all finished and he's gone to bed or whatever, and I just sit there and think, maybe I did the wrong thing. Maybe I did. Because, like, last night, for example, and we had to do it the other night as well, it wouldn't come off the PlayStation, even though we'd warned him several times. And in the end, I had to just grab the control pad off him. And then when you do that, then he really, really kicks off. He screams, he hits, he's really bad. And you then, after, you think to yourself, oh, well, should I have actually done that? Have I done the wrong thing by doing that? And you start to question yourself then, and
it's called mum guilt.
Yeah.
I think every mum goes through it at some point, mum guilt. I mean, I know I definitely do. You think should I have handled that differently?
Yeah.
I mean, with us, it's when we say, right, it's bedtime routine time. So at the moment, it's 8 o'clock bedtime routine, and Lucas has an alarm on his tablet. So obviously, when that goes off, it's right, turn technology off now. But they don't want to turn technology off, and it's we just cut the power. We just go to the plug and flip the switch. It's like, oops. No power, no game. Routine.
That's what. You've just got to turn it off, haven't you? Because that's what we've been doing, just actually taking it off him and turning it off and saying, right, no,
with Lucas, it's got to the point where we don't do the chances anymore. He knows 8 o'clock, it goes off. The alarm goes off, technology's off. Obviously we allow like a few minutes if they need to quickly save something.
That's
like the little chances, like you've got that few minutes gap, save your game, come off it. If you don't, if you get past that 3 minutes, it's that's it, the power's been switched off. That's their little warning chance sort of thing.
I mean, Joshua plays FIFA. FIFA's what he's obviously with football and everything. And I said to him, right, this is the last game. And sometimes I said, can I have one more game? Yeah, right. When this game's finished, we're going up to bed and that. And like I said, sometimes he's great and he'll do it. So right, finish that. But sometimes he'll be like, no, I'm having another game. And it's like, you're not telling me what to do. I'll do what I want, sort of thing. And the things he comes out with, it's just horrible. It really, really is. I know he doesn't mean it. It's not malicious, or anything like that. But it can come across that way because of what he's actually saying,
Yeah, and like Jessie's comment that I flicked up, mum guilt gets harder when your child has additional needs. Completely 100% agree, Jess. It is. Because sometimes they'll sit like, I mean, we get it from Lucas. He hates us. We're bad parents. We're too strict. I'm like, I might come across as strict, but I've got to protect you because that's my job as a parent, is to protect you. There's horrors in this world that I can't tell you about yet because you're too young to understand. But there are some horrible things in this world that I need to protect you from. You'll learn about them when you get older. Why can't I know them now? You're too young, mate.
Exactly.
You're too young. I'd get in trouble if I told you these things, and I'm not going to do that.
No.
You'd probably have nightmares. I mean, I know I'm having nightmares at the moment with all these things, with all the trans things, and then this guy on TikTok that's trying to talk to kids. I'm bringing another child into the world, and this is all going on. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my head around all that. I don't think I'll ever get my head around all that trans stuff. I'm not even going to try. If you want to live your life like that, go ahead. Don't try and influence your life on others. That's all I'm going to say on that matter. But I'm genuinely worried about what Lucas and Tegan's futures, and obviously baby's future, is going to be like. I have to get into that pattern now. I've got a third. I've just got Lucas, Tegan, I've got baby. but I am genuinely worried about what the future for the kids is going to be. Obviously not just my 3. It's going to be all kids. What's their future going to be like?
Yeah, exactly.
So now I think it's even more important for now, our generation and the generation that's coming up behind us, to learn the fact that there's so many things in the world that are going to need correcting.
Definitely.
And that's without bringing into other factors that are going on in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not going to mention everything.
Yeah, it's scary, really, isn't it? To be honest,
It is.
What kind of world that they're growing up in, and when they get to 18, when they're adults, how it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's really scary, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's something that every parent has. So not just.
Yeah,
I mean, I know we're talking about how being an SEN parent affects your mental health, but being just a parent in general affects your mental health. There's so many worries that are going on. Are you doing a good job? Did I handle this right? The mum guilt, obviously. I mean, I'm not too sure if dad guilt exists. Any dads in the comments, feel free to jump in and let me know if dad guilt exists, because it's not something I've personally come across. I don't know if Adam is still in. He's out with Tegan at the moment, so he might have gone off to deal with Tegan.
Yeah.
So she's going through a homeschooling group at the moment because her social skills. We need to keep that social side of things going along as with the learning, and that's what we're struggling with at the moment.
Yeah.
Because the social side of things, there's not much for social wise in our local area that we can take her to during the day.
Yeah.
So obviously she has this group with other kids that are homeschooled, and she goes to Brownies on a Tuesday night so she can socialise with other kids.
Yeah.
Dad guilt is very real.
Yeah. Who's put that, James?
Yeah.
I would say, I would agree, really, because I think, regardless of whether your mum or your dad, I think I think it affects, obviously both parents. There's obviously there's certain things that affect you differently, but yeah.
And Chris has put, believe me, being a single parent, you'll always have somewhat guilt. I did, but I knew I was going the right. Yeah, Chris, bang on. You know for a fact, as a parent, a single parent, doesn't matter. You're trying to do the best thing for your child. You're trying to point them in the right direction and make sure that they have the best future that they can have. But then there's always how the kids react to your rules and the way you're being with them. You're always going to have that.
Yeah. We have a lot of conflict with Joshua on what because he wants it to be his way. He wants his rules and he doesn't like our rules. And it's like, but, I always said to him, but I'm the adult, Joshua, I'm your mum, and then he's going on about somebody else's mum. I'm like, I'm not interested in what their mum said. So I'm like, I'm your mum, it's what I say. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to tell Miss Lynch, which is his teacher, I'm going to tell Miss Lynch tomorrow what you've said. And I said, well, she'll just agree with what I've said, because you've got to go to bed when it's time for bed. But you get all sorts of accusations and named, calling I'm a bad mum, worst mum in the world, all sorts. Just got to let it go over your head.
I've had same. Yeah, I've had same with Lucas. I'm the worstest mum in the world. He hates me. He wants a new mum. Such a body's mum doesn't have this rule. Such a body's mum has got completely different rules in their house.
Yeah.
That's the rules for their house. The rules for our house are
completely
different.
Exactly. Yeah.
You don't live with your friend. You live here with us.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, absolutely fine if they want to go and stay at the friends for a little bit and have tea at the friends and everything like that. But ultimately, you've got to come home to this family because this is where you belong.
Yeah, I mean, it's that autistic, it's that rigidity and that thinking. Not being able to think any other way than their own thinking. Basically, it's not being able to think of other sort of alternatives and everything like that. It is very typical. I mean, Joshua's teaching assistant, well, she's not his teaching assistant, she teaches for the whole class. Her daughter's autistic, and her daughter goes to SEN school. I think she's around 12, 13. And she's got a lot of experience with her daughter and professionally as well, because she's been, you know, doing her job for quite a long time. And, you know, I talk to her a lot. She's really good, and she has such a good relationship with Joshua. She, you know, the relationship between them, like, she can get him to do anything at school. Like, she just says, right, Joshua, we're doing this today, and he'll do it. We had a meeting with speech and language a few weeks ago, and they brought me and James in. They said we have to come in. We didn't even know why or anything, and then it was to do with some work that they were talking to us about. And Joshua does a very good job at shutting down when he's overwhelmed. And Mrs. Morris were there, his teaching assistant, and he just would not do what they were asking him to do. And it was because basically they placed that demand on him to do it. Plus, mum and dad have both sat there. And Mrs. Morris said when he went back to his classroom, he just did it because that's his, you know, his safety sort of thing.
Yeah, because they sort of find that when they're at home, they're one sort of child, but then when they're out at school, for example, well, in this example it is, they're a completely different one because they're in a different environment. There's different rules and there's different behaviours. So, so when Lucas was in mainstream education, you mentioned the word English and it's full on crisis, meltdown. Not a chance that pen is going near that paper to do that work. He's not going to do it. He's more than likely going to pick that piece of paper up, rip it up and throw it at you.
Yeah.
You know, and he did do that a few times. He actually scrunched it up and threw it at the teacher and hit her in the head at one point. Obviously, it's only a piece of paper, but still.
Yeah.
But now he's in his independent school. It's this sort of, I don't know how they do it, but now he mentions English and he comes home, I've done really well in English. Or they'll ring me up at the end of the week to say, Lucas has done a fantastic piece of. Are you talking about the same child here or what? You know, when she first told me he'd done an excellent piece of writing, I rang her up and I'm like, are you talking about the right child? My Lucas doing English. She's like, yeah. He's done absolutely amazing. We've played this little game where he rolls a dice and he's got to write that amount of words. So they'll do it again and we've got to write a second amount of words.
Yeah.
They've done it where 6 means in red ink. 5 means blue ink, and they've got to do it like that. Where they've gradually moved it down to now it's all in black ink or blue ink, whatever he's using.
Yeah.
But that's a step that they've used. They found it's turned it into a little game. He'll actually do a piece of writing. Well, they don't even have to use that game anymore because now he'll just do it.
Yeah. It's really good how they do things like that. It's really good.
And we found that mainstream, when we gave that technique to mainstream school, and they did it, but they just didn't keep it. Whereas, you know, they can tailor things like that to him all the time, so we can have that in place all the time. If that's going to help him, and they can have, you know, they can keep that in place all the time. They can obviously implement other little things that do, because they've got a lot more experience dealing with autistic children.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they have a lot more strategies to use for them to help them.
They do. Yeah. I mean, like I said, Mrs. Morris. She's brilliant with him, and he does a lot of work with her, and he does a lot of one-to-one work with her. He also goes out on sensory breaks with her. You know, and homework is homework. Joshua does not do homework at all. He completely flat out refuses to do homework. And we actually tried a few things. We tried homework club. But he was coming home from homework club having the most horrendous meltdowns I've ever seen. He was going in the kitchen, throwing things. He was going absolutely crazy. So we spoke to his teacher, and he actually does homework at school now with a teaching assistant, but he just does a bit. Like, he doesn't do it every day, and he just does a bit at lunchtime sometimes and things like that, which is fine, obviously, because he'll do it at school. And then just before half term, he came home and he had a certificate in his bag, and it said Joshua's completed all his homework. And he hates praise, Joshua. He can't stand it when you start saying well done, and looking at things. He hates it. It's like, no, leave it, sort of thing. But I said to him, well done, Joshua. You've done all your homework, but you've done it. You know, you've done it at school, but you've done it. You know, but he will not do homework. When he's home, he's home. That's it.
You know, it's the same with Lucas. I mean, luckily, go on.
I'm one of them as well. Everyone has their own opinions, but I don't believe in homework for primary school children, at least until they get to year, 5, 6 at the most. I think when they're doing 6 hours a day at school, I think that's enough. I don't believe that schools, you know, I know they don't force it on children, but it is quite a, you know, I think homework. And I personally don't believe it should be like that. But, you know, everyone has their own opinions.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fine. As I was saying, with Lucas, it's not something that we actually get from school. And that's one of the things that's one of the advantages of being an SEN, at an SEN school.
Yeah.
Is obviously they don't do homework. So on Mondays, it's Lucas's least favourite day of the week, Mondays, because it's outdoor education all day.
Right.
So he's been to Wigan, a farm in Wigan.
Right.
He went to a park and some couple of other activities in Liverpool last week. And he said he saw Anfield and Everton's ground, Goodison.
Wow.
You know, and he was like, I didn't realise they were so close together, Mum. And I'm like, yeah.
You
know, he was telling me, he's outside Anfield, and he looked at it, he said, I don't like the stadium, Mum. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. You know, fine, mate. That's fine, but you know. We won't bring this conversation onto football, because Tegan with the football at the moment, I can't keep up with her.
Oh no, Joshua's same. I'm not. I mean, Joshua started going to Rovers again. You know, he went obviously when he was younger, and he went to a couple of matches, and then he didn't like it. But now he's so well into it, and he goes back now, and when we score, he's cheering, he's jumping up and everything. It's so like, and he's so gets into it. It's brilliant. I mean, I love it because, you know, I love football, and I always have, and it's lovely to see.
Yeah, and it's something that you two can enjoy together. Yeah, it's something that you two can enjoy together, and you sort of, I don't know. I mean, is it while you're at football you can sort of take your mind off autism a little bit and just enjoy being that mother-son?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, it is. It's really good. I mean, we even took his ear defenders because, I mean, he doesn't really wear them, but he actually asked to take them, and he wore them for a bit. The first time I were working, and James took him, and he didn't even want them on after. He was quite happy. You know, I have said to him
just to enjoy the atmosphere.
Yeah, I've said to him he can go to matches, but when it's the local ones that they're really around it, you know, like Burnley and things like that, no chance, not yet.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's enjoying it. But, yeah, I can't keep up with him like you.
Yeah. No, I mean, Tegan went through a phase where she was a Burnley fan.
Oh,
then she went through a phase through Man City fan. Now she's gone on to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Don't ask me where Wolverhampton is jumped up from.
No, it just comes. Comes. Yeah.
So, yeah, I can't keep up with Tegan and her phases at the moment. She's jumping around teams like I don't know what. I mean, we know for a fact that she's not a Liverpool fan. We know that for sure. She's not a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
But it's who she's going to finally drop on and follow. It's driving me crazy, because now she wants this purple goalkeeper shirt that's 45 quid, and I'm like, nope, absolutely not. I'm not paying for more shirts.
No,
because in a few weeks' time you won't like Wolves anymore.
No, Joshua's like that. He doesn't really support a particular team, to be honest. He just likes it. 1 minute it'll be one team, the next minute it'll be another team. And when he was into football a few years ago, when he was about 4, he wanted all the football kits, and I was ordering them off eBay basically because they were cheap. And you know, he had like Barcelona, Man United, Man City, Liverpool, you know, all these.
That's one shirt I would never have in my house.
No.
Man United.
Well,
if she turned around and said that to me, I'd be like, get out my sight.
Yeah, that's what I said about Burnley. I said, you can have any kit you want, but there's no way you're having a Burnley kit in this house. No way. No. But he had all these kits, you know, and we used to wear them all the time. And like, obviously we couldn't afford it that much, but obviously we being eBay, it weren't so bad. But he insisted on all these different kits, you know.
Yeah, which is fine to use eBay, because when your child has got autism and has got that interest at the moment where wanting all the shirts, eBay is fine, because obviously, like James has said, you could get a kit for 15, 20 quid, which is absolutely fine. But then when they get up to, obviously Tegan at the moment, she's jumping between two sizes at the moment. So it come up to 70 quid for this Manchester City shirt.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? It's a bloody t-shirt.
I know. It's ridiculous, to be honest.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But when you have a child with autism, it's hard, isn't it? Because they want all these things. Because they have to collect everything. It's like...
Yeah. I mean, obviously, that's one of the interests. The other interest at the moment for Tegan is Lego.
Oh, right.
You know, I mean, Lego, that's easy enough to do. I mean, this Lego Friends sets, I mean, she's wanting all these Lego Friends sets. So obviously she'll get the little ones, she'll get the big ones, and then she'll get the big expensive ones for like that's birthday and Christmas treats, because they're big and expensive. They're not everyday budget, darling. They're birthday budget, Christmas budget sort of thing. So one of these sets was I think it was something like 55 quid for one of these sets. At Christmas, she ended up with 2 of the exact same because Mum didn't check what I'd already bought. I didn't check the list before I bought it. It was on sale, and I'm like, oh, it's Lego Friends, I'm buying it.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But she had fun because she built them side to side. She's like, look, Mum, twins.
Oh, bless.
Yeah. And then obviously, it just, I mean, the set comes with 2 little dolls and everything like that, and obviously they're identical dolls. So she's like, it's identical twins.
Oh.
So she's happy enough. They're still built in her room, and she ended up with this little boat as well. And I think they spent the majority of Christmas Day just building Legos. Yeah. So they were doing Lucas's Legos, and they were doing Tegan's Legos.
Yeah. I had a look in Smith's just before Christmas. I was looking at Lego, and it was well expensive.
Yeah, it was
like the name basically, because it were Paw Patrol Lego or Peppa Pig, whatever it was Lego.
Yeah,
it's like I couldn't believe the price of it. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's Super Mario Lego. Lucas is going. I think he's going to be going back into his Super Mario phase. He's starting to with all the Mario stuff again.
They just switch, don't they? I find it fascinated me. I mean, Joshua's been on football for quite a while now, but I know at any minute it can switch. You know, it can be dinosaurs again, or flags, or monster trucks, whatever it is. Like wrestling at one point. He's got upstairs. He's got like two full. Them Asda bags you can get. Them bags for like. He's got 2 of them full of wrestlers. Absolutely full, because he collected every single wrestler.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
And they're upstairs now, and he's not touched them for God knows how long, because wrestling's gone.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I remember when Lucas was into Paw Patrol, he had to have everything Paw Patrol. And at one point, we'd finished buying a set, and then literally, 6 days before his birthday, they brought a brand new set out. I'm like, oh my God. He's like, Mum, there's brand new Lego figures at Paw Patrol out, and I'm like,
yeah.
He's like, I've got to have them all. It's my birthday next week, and it's like,
God. Yeah.
So obviously he got all them. We just finished buying loads. Literally Christmas morning, I think there was only about 3 things that wasn't Paw Patrol. And he wanted Paw Patrol for birthday as well. And he wanted the Paw Patrol balloons and the Paw Patrol banners. And I'm like, you're driving me crazy. I'm like, I'm not buying the Paw Patrol banners and balloons if you're getting everything Paw Patrol toys.
Yeah, exactly.
I draw the line. There's got to be something that's not Paw Patrol.
Yeah.
And then he ended up with 4 boxes, 4 the big boxes. They're like, I think they're about 5 each at Asda, and the big storage boxes, they're probably about that thin, but they're massive.
Yeah.
They're long and thin. And he ended up with about 4 of them full of Paw Patrol. And they were just sat there gathering dust. And after about 6 months, it was, right, Lucas, we need to have a bit of a clear out. What do you want to do with Paw Patrol? I don't want them anymore. Give them away. I'm like, what?
No.
I'm like, no, mate, these toys are, some of them were in, most of them were in absolute brilliant condition. So I said, all right, okay, how about we have a look what they are online, and then cut the price in half or something like that, and we have a look if we can sell them and make a bit of money so they can enjoy it and spend some money. Mario, so because he went from Paw Patrol to Mario.
Yeah.
And I think what cost us about £1,000, he got about 300 quid.
Yeah.
So I lost quite a lot.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's just that he knew then that he had that money and he could spend it on Super Mario. So he ended up with loads of Super Mario. He's got every single Super Mario for the Nintendo DS. I mean, not DS, Switch. Right. Every single Super Mario Switch game he has.
Yeah.
He does not let them. He doesn't let anybody touch them.
No. Oh no.
But at the moment, he's broken his Switch controller, so he can't be on his Switch at the moment.
Gosh.
And he don't like that.
No, that won't go down well, will it?
No. And I've said to him, until his behaviour changes and he stops throwing things in the mornings and starts getting up, getting ready, and going to school without arguments for a week, I'm not prepared to spend £70 on a new one for him.
No.
You know, not if he's going to end up throwing it again.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had his Xbox 2 years now, and we're already on his 5th controller because he keeps throwing them.
Yeah.
I mean, I know obviously in other families they've gone through more.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm actually shocked that he's not broken one of his tellies. Tegan's recently broken one of her tellies, so she needs a new telly. You know, when she told me that she'd broken it, I'm like, that's a 42-inch television, Tegan. You are taking the piss. You know, all right, he's second hand, not first, but that's not the point, though.
No.
Well, it's a 42-inch television.
Yeah, exactly.
I bought it for her birthday because she said to me that she wanted a new television for her bedroom for her birthday. So I said, right, okay, we'll get her a good size one.
Yeah.
It's got a line down the middle of it. You can't use it now.
Oh no.
That's the joys of autism.
It is. It certainly is. Well, really Joshua hasn't destroyed the TV or the play. He goes on the PlayStation, but he doesn't. Yeah. You know, he has got mad and slammed things down and things like that, but he's not broke anything up to now.
Yeah, we've gone through several tablets, laptops, controllers, televisions, phones, you name it. Lucas and Tegan have broken it.
Yeah.
You know, even the banister at the top of the stairs is now wobbly because Lucas keeps putting one hand on the banister and one hand on the handrail at the top of the steps and swinging himself. Tell him not to, but one of these days, I know for a fact he is gonna fall down those steps.
Yeah.
And I said to him, if you fall down those steps, at least you'll learn not to do it again.
Yeah.
It's one of them, you know. It's going to have to happen. He's going to have to fall down the steps. I mean, as much as I don't want him to fall down the steps, I mean, God forbid he does that and gets seriously hurt. I really don't want to. I think it's the only way he's going to learn not to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fell down 2 steps and that didn't work.
No.
Me thinking he might fall down a couple of steps and not do it again, it's not worked because he didn't hurt. He just got up and laughed.
Yeah.
His pain threshold must be through the roof. He certainly don't get that from me.
No.
Thank you for being an absolutely amazing guest.
No, it's fine.
Thank you for everybody in the comments. I just want to pick up on James has said that dad guilt. Talking about dad guilt here. That obviously dads deal with things differently, and they need to talk more and lean on others for support. I think, to be honest, I do want to actually cover this dad guilt and how dads deal with autistic children. So, James, there's a shout out. Come onto the show. Talk to me about it. Let's raise more awareness about it. So there's my invite, James. Come on and talk to me. Message me, and we'll sort it out.
I think, you know, it's the case just before we go. I think there's a lot of, you know, when it comes to children, it's always mum this, mum that. How does mum feel? How does it, you know, when doctors are talking to you, it's always to the mum, you know. And I think, you know, that there isn't enough, you know, the dads. I think sometimes I won't feel included that much. I think that, you know, definitely. Dads should be involved just as much as mum should. And I think I can understand where dads come from. I've heard other dads say that, you know, it's always mum this, mum that. It's always better than mum feels, sort of thing. And I think it is important to, you know, recognise that dads struggle as well. Yeah, and I found that to include Adam a bit more, I actually find that I send Adam to the appointments because then Adam can speak to the professionals. So obviously then it's dad gets involved so that he feels like he's got that involvement, and then obviously he tells me what's been said and everything like that, and I read the reports. When the independent people have they've been to the house to see Tegan, so obviously they've had a chance to speak to both of us, so we've both been included in that. So we've both expressed our worries about Tegan and what we think should happen going forward with her, and they've basically agreed and they've listened to us both, and we've had really pleasant conversations with these.
to be honest, I'd actually recommend independent professionals more than the local authority professionals, because I think independent ones, they're so much better and they can spend so much extra time talking to mum and dad, talking about the concerns, ringing you up, and then obviously they've got longer to do the reports.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because local authority ones, they've probably got so many children on their caseloads, they're not able to do that like independent people can.
Yeah.
So I hope obviously everything goes well with Joshua's EHCP.
Yeah, I'll let you know when we find out.
And obviously if there's anything you need to talk about, I'm only a message away.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for being an amazing guest. See you all later. Bye.
See you. Bye.